They're unable to do it. They collapsed. They had no offensive answer in the second half. And yesterday was a good day for Kentucky fans, and the basketball team just totally ruined it. They blew it, Stephen Peak. They blew it.
Yeah, that's a game. I mean, you had it in game one. I mean, up by 6 with the ball, and you just can't score. It's all of the fears we had in the summer, TJ. You didn't get a good shooter, but then we sort of talked ourselves into, yeah, but Trent Noah's shooting great in practice. So they're shooting 27% from 3 against teams that are with a pulse. Okay, 1 for 13 last night from deep. That one was Brandon Garrison, and it's just it doesn't look good. I don't know how you fix this. This is an offense that is predicated on being able to hit shots from the perimeter. That video that sold me on Mark Pope, the video game offense video on YouTube, the night that I was spiraling because I didn't know if this was the right hire, and then I watched that video and I educate myself on Pope's philosophy, and I'm all right. Let's roll. And last year, it was a lot of fun. The style of play was fun. The shooting 33s, but making like 38% of them. That was so much fun. This roster construction and the style of play is not what sold me on Mark Pope. This is basically doing what we saw the last few years at Calipari, where it's just, all right, somebody go get a bucket, and there's hardly any ball movement. There's guys you could pass it out to the corner, you could whip it around, and you could get an open look, but they don't want to. I don't know if they just don't trust their teammates, and that happens when nobody's making shots. So I don't know how this gets fixed, because Jalen Lowe would make a difference, absolutely. JQ would make a difference. Mo Diabate, I guess, but you held North Carolina to 67 points, TJ. That should be good enough. That should be good enough to win the game at home. That should be good. Like last year's team I believe would have ran North Carolina off the floor. I mean, are they capable of holding Caleb Wilson like Andrea Yelovich did? I don't know, but I know that they would score more than 64 points. I know they were more entertaining to watch, and I'm frustrated with this. We talked about it after the Georgetown game. I said I'm worried we overcorrected, because this is now 2 games that we hadn't shot the ball well. Well, now we have a bigger sample size, and it certainly looks that way.
One three-pointer. We're going to shoot 33s a game. I'd like to find a way to get it 43s a game. Oh, you all are worried about the shooting of this team? Well, I'm glad you're worried about it. Let's check back in about it. The signs were there. We just trusted Pope because he told us to trust him, and unfortunately, so far, it ain't good. And that's one of my biggest concerns is, yes, the injured players are not helping things, and we're going to end up looking back at this season. I hope it ends up with a happy story, but we very well could look back at this season, a disappointing season, and say it never really even got a fair shake because they were injured before the season even started, and you never really got a fair shake. But that being said, adding Jalen Lowe, adding Jaden Quaintance, adding Mo Diabate, it will be helpful to Kentucky. There's no doubt about that. But it's not going to help the shooting.
Doesn't fix that at all.
It doesn't fix that. Jaden Quaintance will erase some shots. He will help defensively, but he's not going to make Kentucky he's not going to make the guards drastically better defensively. He will cover some boo-boos from day one, but obviously the team takes a bit of a step backwards offensively with Mo Diabate. Jalen Lowe's not a great outside shooter, and I'm sure whenever he does come back, we'll be wondering when he's going to get hurt again. Is he just another fall away from being out another few weeks? So that's going to be on the table as well. So it's just all around bad with UK basketball. But joining us now to cheer us up, Mr. Sunshine, when it comes to UK basketball, one Jack Pilgrim. In all seriousness, Jack, I do appreciate you calling it like you see it. It's bad right now, and you're not holding back, and I appreciate that. No filter, some may say.
No filter! Yeah, I'm known for being Mr. Sunshine Pumper, and I think it's just funny seeing like the fan reaction when I'm like somewhat negative for the first time in my life, and everybody's like, oh, man, this guy just has no will to live. He hates Kentucky basketball. It's like, well, no, I have eyes, and I can just see a nightmare scenario unfolding before our very eyes. So yes, I'm very pessimistic about the current product, and I wish I had better things to say about here's how it's going to get fixed and what that looks like.
Yeah, I also would. If you had the answers, Jack, just go ahead and let us know, or maybe send it on over to Mark Pope. But what went wrong during that 10-minute stretch where UK could not make a field goal? I don't know what the official time was, and they were able to get to the line, so they did score some points. But it's not even like the lead just vanished like that. During that stretch, UK probably should have found themselves down 10 or 15 points on the other end of it. They weren't. So defensively, they did some solid things, but what in the world happened offensively?
Yeah, this team is so Jalen Lowe centric, and Pope, I think, kind of showed his hand. Unfortunately, he admitted that the first time Jalen went down. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if it was a week later or whatever, but he was like, "Yeah, we kind of had to totally reset our entire offense because we spent the entire summer building everything around Jalen, and the offense comes and goes as Jalen comes and goes." And it's like, so we didn't have any backup plan. We just assumed that was going to be the reality long term. So we are seeing this team that when things get tight, when we get to crunch time, they all kind of go into hero ball. Well, I'm just going to go get mine. You go get yours, and we'll just kind of figure it all out as individuals. The off-ball cutting, the motion, all of the stuff that makes Mark Pope's offense a video game offense as we were sold when he first got hired, all of that goes away, and it just becomes a bunch of ISO. It reminds me of John Calipari coach teams where it's like, hey, get the ball to your best player and let him rock, except we don't have a best player. We don't have the talent to back up that playing style, so it's a bunch of average basketball players trying to get their own, and that's how you get 8 assists and 9 turnovers on 23 made shots.
It's just pathetic to say it out loud. It's pathetic to say the shooting numbers out loud. It's all around bad for Kentucky. And yeah, how do you go into the season with just one point guard? How do you go into the season knowing that you're going to have to rely on Brandon Garrison, and that's the product of Brandon Garrison? And Malachi Marino, he shows good flashes. There's a lot to like there. The faults of this team don't fall on Malachi Marino, but to have him be the 5, the front court piece, the muscle, the rebounder, all of it, you're putting him in a tough spot. And I'm sure Mark Pope expected a little something out of Brandon Garrison. But goodness gracious, Jack, you cannot really trust him out there on the floor whatsoever. And the front court was an issue last night. The rebounding numbers were shockingly bad.
And that's why you gotta pivot. Like Pope saying I gotta dig deeper into my bench drives me crazy on the surface. But if that means go deeper on the bench by getting creative to like, hey, we got to go small with Yelovich as my 5 and Cam as my 4, whatever. Like, find new creative ways to go about doing this, because what we're seeing up to this point is just not working. Like this current product, the identity that I think they thought they had of the tough, gritty. Well, yeah, we don't have the playmaking with Jalen, but we're going to add the toughness with Denzel, and we're just going to add toughness going down. I think now is the time to say, okay, we're going to abort mission on what we thought this team's identity was. Let's get creative. Let's get weird. Let's try to go small. Let's play to our strengths, however many there are at this point. But the weaknesses are just so glaring at this point that I definitely think it starts with keeping Brandon Garrison off the floor. I think you got to add more Andrea Yelovich. I've been banging that drum for throughout the offseason and going into this season. I think we saw that finally come to light, what it's supposed to look like with him. So yeah, I'm leaning all the way in on Yelovich, leaning all the way in on Malachi, and then just praying to the basketball gods that we get Jaden Quaintance at some point soon.
Yelovich, I thought, had some good moments. Peak, did you have a question for Jack?
Yeah, Jack. When do we start being great again?
Buddy, I haven't seen greatness since I started doing this job, so maybe it's my fault. I should just quit and go into woodworking or something. I am the problem.
Pete mentioned it a little bit earlier that just on the court, the chemistry looks off. Maybe they don't trust each other. When they drive, there's not nearly as much kick in. There was one good possession where they swung it around, but even still, Trent Noah passed up like 2 open threes, and
Yes.
I forget who ended up taking it, but they didn't make it, obviously, because Kentucky only made 1 3 the entire game. Do you subscribe to, yeah, there are some chemistry issues? And secondly, the rumors are out there. Is it not so much maybe just on the court they're not gelling? Off the court, do these guys even like each other? Is there something off the court that fans should look into, Jack?
Yeah, and you try to dig into that stuff to get the clarity, so you get the the loud no's, the loud denials that usually come with that. Like, when you heard it at the podium when Pope was asked after the Louisville game, like, hey, is there a chemistry issue with this team? He said, oh, chemistry is the last thing I'm concerned about. But everything that you're seeing with your own 2 eyes totally goes against that. Like, they don't look like they like each other. It doesn't look like any of them are having any fun. And it really brings me back to that. And Steven and I talked about this last night at 5 a.m. or whatever. I'm just seeing dead relatives at this point. But it really brings me back to that 2022-2023 season with Xavier and Oscar and those guys, where it's the same preseason hype, the same, hey, you're bringing back a player of the year contender. There's so much to like on paper about them. You love the Purdue game for this season was the equivalent of the Bahamas for that season. We're like, oh my, we're going to go undefeated. This is going to be the best team we've seen since 2012. And then the reality of it is, oh, these guys don't like each other. These guys don't fit. These are a bunch of puzzle pieces that are just broken and jagged and have no rhyme or reason alongside one another. They might just be a 6 seed, and this is just what it is. So nobody is willing to say there are, chemistry issues or anything like that, but nobody's denying them privately behind the scenes, even though we're getting the public, Mark Pope-isms, for whatever that stands for.
Real quick, Jack, did you notice while we have you on here that you made the Kentucky football graphic?
Football school. And I just think it's so funny that, like, end of Mark Stoops' era, I was like seen as the biggest Kentucky football hater of all mankind, and now I'm on the main graphic promoting the next guy. It's like, hey, we lost the battles to win the war, buddy.
It's also funny to think that just if somebody would have told you 2 months ago that, hey, December 3rd, you'd be wanting to talk football on your radio show, not basketball. I wouldn't believe it, but things can move quickly. And honestly, Mark Pope needs to be happy, Will Stein, and everything that's happened over the last 48 hours. Because imagine if Mark Stoops was still the coach today, we had basically gotten to the point that, yeah, he's going to be back for 2026. There's no coaching change, and the basketball team was struggling as much. It'd be a dark place for UK fans, and it's not very light from the basketball side of things. This is disappointing. I think the comparison to that Oscar final year is a great comparison, where you did have talent, and you looked at that roster on paper and said, all right, yeah, we like this, but once it all started to mesh, it was a disaster. So that's a good comparison there. Let me throw a hypothetical to you, and there's no wrong answers here. But let's say the season continues to progress, and it's similar to that 2022 season. They get a 6 seed, they get a 7 seed, they don't make it out of the first weekend. It's just, there's no bright spot. It just ends up being a very ho-hum, mediocre, underachieving year. What are we saying about Mark Pope if that's the case?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I mean, we're already kind of seeing the trend. Like the 10-loss Tubby thing was the reason why Tubby ultimately ended up not feeling welcome here in Lexington. And I think the issue with Pope right now is that he has no proof of concept at a championship level. Like, we have not seen him win anything of substances in his entire career. So he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt that even like Tubby got at the front end, that Cal, the reason why we allowed for the end of tenure nonsense was because of just how strong, like, he built up so much equity there that you're like, well, but we got to love the good old days. Like, we love the good old days. The nostalgia of it kind of built that up. Pope doesn't have any of that. Like, he hasn't proven anywhere that he can land a top end 5-star, hasn't landed and proven that he can, take a team to a, Elite 8 even at this stage. So it does feel like everything is shrunken down so much more than we've seen usually, and how quickly fans bought into it or were sold on it after hating it initially and then flipping totally, getting that superstar high to start with, and they have like almost flipped just as quickly. So I do think that fans, I mean, you heard the KSR postgame show last night, fans saying he's not the man for the job, he's not built for this, things like that. You're already kind of starting to get that stuff. And if we trend toward this 6, 7, 8 seed kind of line, yeah, it's going to get loud, it's going to get hot, and I don't want to deal with that reality, but it scared me, being totally honest, listening to Ortega talk, listening to Pope talk last night. It did give off the vibe that this team just knows who it is at this point. Like, they know that this is a project team. They do not project as the devastation that we saw at the podium at Madison Square Garden, where they're just like, we thought we were one of those teams, and it's just not working right now. We got to get this figured out. We got to, it was almost like no, we know that this, we got some serious issues, and this is going to be a long-term, journey for us. But that's not what they paid for. You didn't pay $22 million for a 6 seed. You paid $22 million to be one of those ones. And that's why I think the hate and the anger that fans are feeling right now is because of the Ferrari, we built a Ferrari and now I can't wait to take it on the drive. That's it. It's kind of, you can't gloat on the front end, and then when the hardships come, you go, well, you got to respect the journey. It's like, well, no, we didn't pay for a journey. We paid for the Ferrari.
I want Kentucky to be great again. Now it doesn't have to happen every year, every other year, but we've been really good since 2015. We've had really good seasons. We have not been great. I keep bringing it up. You haven't been a 1 seed since 2015. You're right, Jack. This is what you spent the money for. Go get a 1 seed in that drought. It's the longest drought in school history. We're about to double it. The longest drought was 6 years. And we're approaching on doubling it in this time span. And I know, TJ, you don't care about seeds and all that, but regardless of whether you think, whether you subscribe to my belief that you basically have to have a 1 seed if you want a real shot at a championship, that's just a sign that you've had a great. You're one of the top 4 teams, and it's not going to happen this year. You can't start off 0-3 against these non-conference teams and end up. I mean, yeah, you could win out, but let's be real. Let's be real with what this team is. And I don't know that this team's very good. We don't have runaway talent. We know we invested in depth, and I don't know that we should be using depth. Pope saying last night something that kind of just I couldn't believe I was hearing it. And I don't know if sometimes you just get up there and you're just talking. I understand that. But the idea that we need to look deeper into our bench, how much deeper into the bench do we need to go? And why is it that our guys are tired after playing for 29 minutes and other teams are playing guys for 35? That shouldn't be an issue. All right, there's a break. How many times in a college basketball game is there a break? You get one every 4 minutes. You get stoppages all the time so that Joe Lindsay can go look at something on the monitor. That should not be an issue, and I wonder how much that's hurting recruiting. Jack, you're always on the recruiting trail. These guys, they don't want to. The top players don't want to just play 20 minutes a game. And last night, I know we had 4 guys play 30, but that's because we're missing 3 starters. That's not the blueprint. That's not the game plan. Is that an issue when you're trying to land some of these top recruits? Does Tyron Stokes, is he going to be cool with only playing 25 minutes?
No, he wouldn't. And there's a lot of truth to that. And he hasn't landed a recruit yet for this 26 class. So it's 2 + 2 = 4. We're seeing that the correlation here. But I think it hurts that much worse seeing the landscape of college basketball and who is dominating the current landscape with the Boozers and the DeBonces and the Michael Browns against you, and go down the list of all the diaper dandies, as Dick Vitale would say. You spend as much as you did, but then cut when we got to a Caleb Wilson, and it kind of became a money game. It was like, oh, well, we're going to take value over this. They were preaching value all throughout that first cycle. Yeah, we just can't justify spending $7 million on an AJ Davancin. It's like, okay, but you're willing to load up on depth on guys that by the end of the year you're not going to be playing anyway. Like, why is where is the value coming from? Your return on investment right now for the total team product is horrific. So why would you not go spend big on the top end talent? And now you're hearing like you already kind of crushed some goodwill with some agents and things like that, and of at the negotiation table and things like that in the first year and a half that you've been the head coach at Kentucky. Like now you're making up for lost time because you haven't landed one of those guys yet. You did kind of struggle at the beginning part, that now if you're going to change your tune, that now Tyron Stokes is the reason that we're going to be totally fixed next season. It's like, well, you're changing your messaging and your tune now, where you're comfortable spending $5 million on Tyron Stokes, but you weren't comfortable spending $7 million on AJ DeBanza last year. Why? There's a lot of questions right now with recruiting, and the current product that we're seeing right now is not helping anything.
He is Jack Pilgrim from KentuckySportsRadio.com, joining Kentucky Roll Call. There's a million more things I could ask and talk to you about, Jack, but we appreciate your time. We'll get you back on, and let's hope that things turn around. But I think the sentiment of this interview, everybody unanimously agrees that it just is not very good right now. Maybe when the healthy players, this team gets a full roster, whenever that day is, maybe it all clicks for them, but project is right, and it wasn't what we were expecting. Jack, thank you, buddy.
Thank you. I'll hopefully I can be a sunshine pumper again soon. I miss those days.
Well, you call it like you see it, and we appreciate that. Be well, buddy. Jack Pilgrim, KentuckySportsRadio.com. We are going to take our first commercial break. There was a few things he mentioned that I had jotted down. Peak, one thing that you mentioned that I jotted down. So we'll follow up some of that interview. We'll see what's up with producer Matt Childers and see how his day's going, what's going on in producer Matt world. I wanted to ask Jack a little bit about that Arkansas-Louisville game. I've got a betting angle to that game that we will share on the show tonight. But the Cards taking on John Calipari and Kenny Payne. That's a big one for U of L. So we've got much to discuss, and Will Stein will meet the fans and the media today. Stephen Peak was at the airport yesterday. We'll get his encounter yesterday and get ready for the Stein era. Time for Stein in Lexington. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. Let's throw it over to producer Matt Childers for a moment. Producer Matt, how are you? What's up? How's your Wednesday going?
I'm good. It's been a pretty good Wednesday. Wasn't as ugly looking as it was yesterday. Obviously, the snow kind of still out there, but we're at that like freezing snow kind of thing, so it's not as difficult to move around, and it's kind of, you can tell it's kind of moving forward. Sun was out a little bit more today. I like that. You talked about it a little bit before we went to break that Louisville's got a really big matchup tonight. I'm excited for it. I hope we just absolutely beat the brakes off Kenny Payne. I hope he smiles while he shakes Pat Kelsey's hand and they get a really big hug, and then we all cheer. It's going to be fun because, you don't – it's kind of like the stars align for you. You don't get the opportunity to beat Calipari and Kenny Payne at the same time a lot, and I'm going to be savoring every moment of it if we win tonight.
Well, that's the bad news is you're not going to, unfortunately.
Wow. You just can't – you're still on last night, huh? Just can't move on. Can't have any positivity in anybody else's life.
Has nothing to do with it. You're not taking down the head hog, unfortunately. No, you're exactly right about how exciting this game is, how big of a game it is. SEC, ACC challenge, nobody really cares so much about that. I mean, you want to win it if you're going to do it. In Kentucky now, 2 straight years losing to ACC teams just should not happen, cannot happen. But this is a rare, meaningful out-of-conference game where I think both coaching staffs aren't going to treat it like, hey, let's just get better. And if we lose, let's learn something. Cal, and especially Kenny Payne, they're going to want to win this game. Cal loves beating Louisville. He does.
He does.
Just because he moved to Arkansas, I don't think that's going to change. And especially with the way it all went down with Kenny Payne, Cal's going to look out for his boy. And then on the flip side, you know, Pat Kelsey has embraced the U of L fans. He gets the U of L fans. He knows what is important to them, and they cannot stand Kenny Payne. John Calipari is an afterthought to U of L fans. They don't like him, and they'd love to beat him.
They still hate him. A lot of
no doubt
mine
about that.
still hate John Calipari, for sure.
But Kenny Payne is much more hated. Now that Cal's gone and out of Lexington, yeah, he owned us, whatever, but he's gone. So we don't have to worry about the bad man anymore in Lexington. But Kenny Payne, he left some scars for the U of L fans. So that team, they're going to want that one badly too. And then secondly, you talk about the guards. You're talking about draft stock. You're talking about these guards are top 5 picks, top 10 picks. They're going to be going at it against each other for draft positioning. So it's a pretty big game. It's U of L's first true road game. That is not meaningless. That carries a bunch of weight, in my opinion. They've got the wrong team favorite. Free money alert. And this isn't trying to be a hater or a homer. And if U of L wins, I will be so impressed with that win. If we're doing, well, I won't be doing the show tomorrow, but if producer Matt's doing the show tomorrow, and he's talking about a U of L win, that will be one of the more impressive wins of the college basketball season, this young college basketball season, if U of L in its first true road game can go on the road and beat a backcourt that's comparable to theirs and a front court that is a bad matchup for them. Arkansas is a very physical, athletic front court, and I don't think that's what U of L is looking for in front court matchups. So I do think Arkansas is going to win. I actually think they'll win somewhat comfortably, like 8 or more points. So if you wanted to tease it up, you can get some really good juice on that. U of L is going to be fine, producer Matt. Legitimately top 5, top 10 team. I'd lean probably more towards top 10, but just because I'm picking Arkansas tonight I'm not trying to rival. I would love to have U of L's roster right now. You all are going to be fine. I just think tonight may be a rough one for you.
It definitely could be. This is a game that I'm genuinely nervous for. Like you said, it is our first serious test. No jokes on UK right now at all, but
good one. That's good. That's true. You're right. You're right.
But I also thought that, I said on the radio 2 weeks ago that I thought Cincinnati would also be a quad 1 win at the end of the year. They suck. They're terrible. So I'm nervous about this game tonight. And this is one where, Peak, you talked about at the UK U of L game that you love the hostile environment. It made you feel like the rivalry was fully back, and you love to see that just for the love of the sport. This is one where I'm glad it's an away game, because if the U of L UK game was the way like it is, I can't imagine what the Yum Center would be like when Kenny Payne comes back to town against Arkansas, against a top 9 Louisville basketball team in a game that could have March Madness implications at the end. That place, we're talking hostile environment. I don't know what would happen if Kenny Payne stepped foot in that place again. If we're looking at lists of people who are not allowed, it's Andre McGee's way up here, and then Kenny Payne's like a little bit more down here, and then it's other people after that. I'm excited. I'm nervous. You know, I think you're kind of crazy saying they win comfortably. I think it's going to be really close. I do like the 3.5. I think that's kind of where it's going to be at. If it is like a comfortable win, I think it'll be like a UK comfortable win where it kind of comes down to like the free throws at the end. But I think it's anybody's game.
If this was a neutral site, producer Matt, I would probably lean. I'd still probably give a slight edge to Arkansas, but just with it being in Fayetteville, true road game, that's a really hard place to win. Especially you're getting Mikael Brown, who I think is up for the challenge. I don't think he's going to be shell-shocked or anything like that, but could be due just for a bad game because that's basketball and that will happen. Our listeners out there, when I feel pretty good about a bet, it probably hits around 55 or 60% of the time. So this is a chance. Get in while the getting's good. I really do. I've got a decent amount of money on Arkansas money line, and then I was like, all right, if they're going to give me 3.5 points, I'll take that as well. But I did go heavy on the money line, so excited for that one tonight. ACC leading the SEC in the ACC-SEC Challenge, although I believe U of L is the only ACC team favored tonight, if you care about that sort of thing, which if you're a UK fan, you should not. All you should care about is UK not being bad at basketball, and unfortunately right now they are bad at basketball.
But before we get into that stuff, do you mind if I ask you guys a question really quick?
You're part of the show, producer Matt. Whatever you want.
Out of all the games last night, because I feel like there were a lot of surprising outcomes, which one did you see in the ACC-SEC matchup that kind of like shocked you the most?
Definitely Tennessee losing to Syracuse.
I could see that. See, for me, it was the whole Virginia Tech Ole Miss. I could not believe that Chris Beard couldn't get that game in. Couldn't get that done.
Yeah, that one was really surprising too. Ole Miss has been a little underachieving, or I guess maybe surprising would be the right word. They lost last night. What was the final there? They lost to Miami. Virginia Tech beat South Carolina.
Oh, okay. I had those backwards. Sorry, my fault. Miami.
Yeah. So the Virginia Tech South Carolina game was funny. South Carolina had a chance to win it.
I just saw that. It's hilarious.
In regulation, and it's a hilarious video. They just don't get a shot off, and they're
what
not
is
even.
Michi doing?
They're not even close to getting a shot off. Michi just dribbles, and he passes the ball to an open shooter as the clock is expiring. He was nowhere close to it. That game goes to overtime. Virginia Tech gets the win. That's a bad loss for South Carolina. But, yeah, as you mentioned, producer Matt, Miami going into Oxford.
Yeah, Miami's the one that I was talking about. I meant that one.
I mean, that's surprising, too. I think that's a promising sign for Miami being able to hold its own weight in the ACC and be a tournament team. But, yes, that was a bad loss for Ole Miss, no doubt about it. If you're wondering how Travis Perry did in that game, he's no longer a starter. He played 23 minutes, though, did hit 3 3-pointers, so he had 3 times as many threes as the Wildcats did last night. UK could use his shooting, no doubt. Not that I'm saying that Travis Perry would have changed the equation for UK basketball this year. But
I've already flipped it and posted it. Sorry.
They're not a good shooting
team. You're caught out of
team.
context already. It's done.
Nothing better than out of context, but you can clip and quote that he would make Kentucky a better shooting team, but Kentucky would still obviously have some major issues. And speaking of shooting and shooters, Trent Noah, he was kept around. He was somebody that wanted to stay. Travis Perry left. Trent Noah stayed. We heard all about the shooting numbers from Trent Noah. Here's something I brought up on the post-game show. And I can't really reiterate this enough because it's telling in some regard. What regard that is, I don't know. We'll leave that open to you, Stephen Peak, or the listeners on the Game Day Men's Health text line, or producer Matt, or whoever. But how are you playing Trent Noah 13 minutes, meaningful minutes, because when you're playing a close game like that, they're all meaningful minutes.
Yep.
But then when you need a basket, 2 to tie, 3 to win, and there's 12 seconds left in the game, that's the time you don't have Trent Noah on the floor. And I'm not trying to make too big of a deal about this by itself, but to me, you put this under a microscope, and I'm not so sure we're going to like what we see. So you are, Mark Pope, determining that Trent Noah is good enough and needs to be out on the floor 13 minutes, which in a close game is a lot of time.
Yep.
And theoretically, you have him out on the floor because he can shoot. You don't have him out there to rebound. You don't have him out there to defend. You don't have him out there to be the point guard. You have him out there to spread the floor and shoot. And yes, he plays hard, and you can appreciate that.
Good.
But you have
I'm
him out
glad he
there to
plays hard.
shoot. And not only, I mean, he shoots one time in the game, right? Or one three-pointer in the game, if I'm not mistaken. The box score, I think, is gone. But you don't trust him to shoot. So you have him out there to shoot, and he's not shooting. And then
So why is he there?
There's a situation. Exactly. Why is he there? And then there's a situation where you need shooting, and you don't play him. So is Mark Pope just clueless? Is he just not? Is he messing up, and he's making these mistakes? And I can make a case that Trent Noah should have been out there with 12 seconds left. He would have spread the floor if you wanted to attack the basket, which they clearly did. Yeah, having a decoy and spreading the floor, that would be pretty helpful there. You didn't do that. And then if you want to make the case that, no, what are you talking about? There was 12 seconds left. Trent Noah didn't need to be on the floor with 12 seconds left. Okay, fine. If you want to make that point, I'm cool with that. Then he shouldn't be getting 13 minutes then.
Exactly.
So whichever avenue you want to go down, it comes back to, like, Mark Pope is just messing up Stephen Peak. That's my point with Trent Noah. It's not so much Trent Noah in the game, not in the game, whatever. It just doesn't make any sense to me what Mark Pope's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was screaming this last night because you're right. If Trent Noah is going to play 13 minutes, and he is, we've called him the best shooter on the team, then why is he not out there when you're down by 2 and a 3 could win it? Just so that Hubert Davis says, hey, don't leave number 9. Stay on number 9. And just like you said, that opens the floor. So maybe when you drive to the basket, somebody else will be open at minimum. But maybe he's the best shooter. Maybe he gets a good look because guys crash. They you know how these last second plays go. Guys watch the ball, and then he kick it out. And we're too focused on depth. You don't need that. We're so focused on this Jenga moment that we keep talking about that eventually the other team's legs are going to give out, and because we've had these rotations, throughout the game, and guys we have fresh legs that we're just going to eventually pull away. And I kept waiting for it, and it got under 10 minutes. Then we got under the 8 timeout, and I'm like, all right, when's North Carolina going to start folding? Well, they did miss a lot of shots. The problem is, TJ, we couldn't score. 6-point lead in the ball. Didn't score for 3 possessions. Next thing you know, North Carolina's right back in the game. They have the lead. Too much emphasis on depth. That's what I'm taking away from this game and taking away from the early parts of the season right now. Andre Yelovich should probably play more. And then everybody else, I mean, Jasper, what is Jasper bringing to the table? And this is kind of what I'm like, what are we good at? And people say, like, what's our identity? And that's the different way of putting it. I just want to dumb it down. What are we good at? What is this team good at? We don't shoot the 3 very well. I guess we defended better last night.
That's what kind of ticks me off, too, is that you get out-rebounded, you get punked on the glass. Not having Mo Diabate hurts. I understand that. But then Mark Pope in his press conference says, that's not us, though. I don't get why that, blah, blah. What do you mean? You've played 2 good front courts this year, and no disrespect to U of L, but that's not the strength of their team. And guess what? U of L's front court also outplayed you, so if I'm saying that about U of L, what does that say about UK? Mm-hmm. But Michigan State has legitimately one of the best front courts in the country, and then last night, UNC's is a good front court. It's not top 10 in the country. Caleb Wilson's probably a top 10 player in the country, but it's a good front court. It's probably top 20, top 15. And the 2 good ones that you've played just did whatever they wanted to you. They out-rebounded you. It is shocking to me that UNC as a team has 21 defensive rebounds and 20 offensive rebounds. 20 offensive rebounds. That really is embarrassing. That's like you look in the locker room and you look at all your players like, dude, how soft are you? Go get a board. How many chances are you going to give a team? And it ended up being 1 too many chances. If you can make a case that if one of those put back twos or threes. If that doesn't happen and Kentucky can go on the other end and convert, that could be the game. That's how narrow this margin was. And I think Mark Pope just had a bad strategy. I think that he thought, and I mentioned this on the postgame show last night, but I think he thought, hey, UNC is going to try to crash the glass. Let's run. When they do that, let's run. So if they don't get it, it's points on the other end. And UK did a great job in the fast break. They were good in transition last night. I understood what Mark Pope was trying to do. Maybe you could get away with it if you had Mo Diabate. But the issue was, I'm not trying to break any news here to Mark Pope, you didn't have Mo Diabate. So you got absolutely annihilated on the glass. So you wanted to take your chances and run. Okay, they better get that offensive rebound, because if they don't, we're going to have three dudes down on the other end ready to score. And when it worked, it did work. The issue is there was 20 times it didn't work. There were 20 times that you just could not get the rebound. And at some point, you needed to probably pull the plug on that experiment. I think he even did. And even still, when he still sent four dudes to go crash the boards, it didn't always matter. But I think that was his game plan was, all right, we're just going to give up some stuff on the front court right now. And UK probably always will until they get Mo Diabate and JQ back. So if we're going to give something up, let's try to get something on the other end. And unfortunately, it was just so bad on the glass that it was the wrong decision for Mark Pope.
Well, the other thing is, TJ, well, early in the game, it was 10-4. And, you know, it's not like, oh, okay, well, now we got the game under control. But you make substitutions, and I look up at the scoreboard a couple minutes later, and it's 11-10 North Carolina. It's been every game. Kentucky comes out, actually gets a lead, start the game like they did against Michigan State, like they did against Louisville. Subs come in, lead goes away. Now you're playing from behind. Now you're going back and forth. That we're subbing way too much, man. Like there's just John Calipari, and Matt, you might have this pulled up.
I do.
But I think that this all these substitutions and sharing of minutes, it's killing you in recruiting. Matt, can you play what John Calipari said about doing the platoon system?
Why 8? Why not go ahead and play 11 if all 11 are playing fairly well?
Just hard on all of them. And you remember the year I did the platoons and we won every game, and it was all, for 2 years I couldn't recruit anybody. You want to go there and play 20 minutes? I'm going to start you, and you're going to take all the shots, and you have to go there. And I said, I did that one time in my career. And I had no choice. I had 10 guys. So if I felt we had 10,
And since
you know who that year, who 11 and 12 were?
Okay.
2 good players that are still playing professionally. Oh my gosh. Dominic and Derek. Some of you had no idea, old people, but those two were 11 and 12.
Why 8?
Okay, yeah, and I some of that might have gone a little long, but basically, you know, Calipari, obviously, he can be kind of known for hyperbole every once in a while, TJ, but...
And he has to still take a little shot at the media just in that one clip, which is funny.
Yeah, of course.
You know what year that was?
That was 2022, 2023. It's the year that I'm comparing this team to a little bit. But I think there's something to that. When you look at the guys that you missed on, Lamar Wilkerson, Donovan Dent, he's not very good, but Caleb Wilson, they're all playing over 30 minutes a game. You can't convince Tyron Stokes to come to Kentucky and only play 25 minutes. And maybe you can. For a lot of money, maybe you can. But I know that, like, John Wall was not coming to Kentucky so that he could play 20 minutes a game and have a limited amount of shots taken. So whatever is going on in the recruiting trail that you're missing on guys, or in the transfer portal that you're missing on guys, I think this plays a huge part. Now, last night, like I said, you played 4 guys over 30 minutes, but that's only because 3 starters are out. If those guys are in, you know what the plan is. You know what the blueprint is that Mark Pope's going with. And I don't need to be told, again, that our guys are too tired. Come on. These guys are in the best shape of their life. Other teams are doing it with 7 or 8 players.
Well, he said that at halftime. He mentioned the fatigue issue, and he said, we'll take care of that in the second half, Mark Pope did. And it does make me wonder. Like he's overthinking this. I'm not wondering it. Yes. I know it. He's overthinking this stuff. Where I think in the first half, oh, okay, so and so, he's playing well, but I want to make sure his legs are going to be fresh at the under 4 in the second half. I need to make sure I still have him in the second half. Mm-hmm. Stop worrying about that. Just play to win. And we had a couple callers. I was a little surprised last night, Steven, that just insinuated that, like, Jalen Lowe's not really hurt and Mo Diabate's not really hurt, and they're just collecting checks and whatnot. And I don't buy that.
We saw them get hurt.
Yeah, so, I don't buy that. When an injury is relayed to us, I usually almost always default to it's legitimate, and we can hear you eating the chips, producer Matt. Are they at least good chips that you're enjoying?
Very good, yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyways, I lost my train of thought on the chip stuff.
You're talking about defaulting like injured players too. If it's
okay, yeah. So some like again, if they say they're injured, I'm not going to. That's just calling them a liar if you're going to say that they're actually not hurt and they're just sitting on the sideline. So that's weird territory to go down, and I don't go down it. So if they say that they're injured, I'm going to go ahead and say that they are injured. However, where I think there could be an interesting angle with that is if this was March, Mo Diabate, I'd have to hold him back. If this was March, Jalen Lowe, he'd be out there. He'd play through the pain. I'm not saying play hurt. And again, that's why it's just ultimately just kind of like loser conversation. We don't know how hurt they are or how hurt they aren't. But it's time to go. Like, you know, you're now 0-3 in your big games. It's time to play if you can go out there and play. Now, if you're hurting the team, then sure, yeah, you don't need to be out there. But if I was Mo Diabate and I'm as big as a competitor as they say that he is, and I'm watching our team just get out-rebound, not get a rebound, out-rebounded, not get a rebound, UNC's doing whatever they want on the glass, and I'm just sitting there watching, I would probably tell my coach, like, hey, my ankle, it's actually all right. I can at least go rebound. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do much elsewhere, but I'm not going to go get pushed around, so get me in the game. So point being, if they are holding them back at all just because, well, we want them to be 110%, it's time to really rip the Band-Aid off. The season is hanging in the balance, and you can afford a loss to Gonzaga on Friday, but you can't go 0-2. You can't lose Gonzaga, St. John's in Indiana. You've got to come away with a win somewhere in this out-of-conference schedule, and it's just shocking that we're even having that conversation. It's just shocking we're having that conversation. So if they can play, they need to play. It's time.
Yeah. If you found out later that, like, you know, they've been practicing this whole time but not ready to put them in the game, I will be kind of furious about that.
Well, so supposedly they may have been practicing, but let's talk about that in hour 2. We're up against it. Fun first hour. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call, coming right back up on the Big X. Summer has come.
7-0, but they're 75th in Ken Palm. I would feel a little bit better, but here's where I'll even push back on that, because the Kentucky's 3 losses are to 3 pretty good teams. And Louisville, Michigan State are great teams, and North Carolina is a pretty good team with maybe probably a lottery pick in Caleb Wilson. But this actually isn't fun. It's not a fun brand of basketball. This is Tubby ball. This is Calipari ball without the draft pick, without any draft, without any stars. So it's kind of tough to watch. And, I mean, that culminated last night into a 10.5-minute stretch with no field goals, 0 for 13. Did I see that that's the worst in over 8 years? I mean, it's just not fun. This isn't the brand of basketball that I was sold. This is not why I got excited for Mark Pope. This is not how I was convinced that Mark Pope was going to work. And you got to get a GM, TJ. You can't even debate it. I've heard he push back. He wants to build his rosters. Ain't going to work. Not going to work. Got to get a GM. Got to figure out how to go find some guys and put these pieces together and show how it's going to work. And let Mark Pope coach the team. That's how it's done in the NBA. Let's run it like that, because I don't trust this anymore. Did we want to construct a better roster, but we just couldn't get the guys? Maybe, but that might be his recruiting, but it might also be the philosophy and how he wants to have the minutes he wants to play guys. We beat that to death in this show, but this brand, what we saw last night, that is not what I signed up for. And I'll say this again: last year's team was better. Last year's team, if it stayed healthy, is a top 5 to 8 team. They're a 2 seed flirting with a 1 seed if they stayed healthy. And instead of just, all right, let's go get more of that. Let's get maybe better versions of Jackson Robinson, maybe get a better version of Lamont Butler, although I would take both of those guys right now in a heartbeat. And that's a team that could go win a national title. But instead, we got it in our heads. We have to be more tough. We have to be more physical. Yeah, those were things we were lacking last season. Absolutely. But at the same time, they were tough and physical against Duke. They were tough and physical against Gonzaga. I don't think there was this need to overcorrect and go get Mo Diabate and build the roster the way that you can play your video game offense next season, and let's go and let's run this stuff back, because I believe that this coaching staff can figure it out. But you cannot tell me that we need to shoot 35 threes a game and you have no shooters. You just can't. We can't do this.
This was just a frustrating basketball game to watch, just as a basketball fan in general. Usually you're sitting here thinking, when you get to those high pressure situations in the final 3 or 4 minutes when it's a close game, you're thinking of, okay, Mark Pope can outcoach Hubert Davis here. Hubert Davis can outcoach Mark Pope here. It genuinely looked like both coaches were trying to undercoach each other. I couldn't understand what was going on. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to poop on Hubert Davis for about 1 minute, okay? You have 1.5 minutes of play left. In back-to-back possessions, you use your last 2 timeouts to draw up a play, because I think this was when they were tied with Kentucky, and that was when they they were down 1, and they hit the big 3, right? You take a timeout before that possession to draw up a play. The play, in quotations, breaks down, and it just becomes 25 seconds of dribbling around, and then he hits a big shot. Congrats to Dixon. That's a great shot. Kentucky goes down, makes a layup, ties the game, I think, and then you go back on the other end, you call another timeout. I'm like, okay, you got bailed out last time, Hubert. What do you got for us this time? You come out of this timeout, and you draw up a hold the ball for 15 seconds at the top of the key to run clock, understandably, 1 screen, and then drive to the lane. And it was frustrating to look at. This is what you drew up, and not because that's the play they drew up, but because Mark Pope didn't do anything to counter that. There was no help defense on this. It was just, I got hit by a screen. Hopefully somebody picks up my man. Free layup. And
I saw your tweet. I actually disagreed a little bit. I was really disappointed with Mark Pope out of timeouts. I know that's ultimately what your sentiment is getting at here, but Hubert won almost every timeout. When there was a break in the action, almost always something good would happen for UNC afterwards, and nothing good would happen for UK. There were several times, and this specific play, yes, I'm with you. You're going to chew up and you're going to burn some clock. Yeah, Kentucky wasn't prepared for it. I guess Mark Pope, if they did discuss what was going to happen in a situation like that, I guess he just thought Malachi would be able to erase the shot, that, he gets switched over on a downhill guard, that he'll be able to block it or meet it at the backboard. And Malachi was right there, but even all the more reason that you needed some help. You needed something else. You're right. It wasn't a complex play. There wasn't anything difficult. It was lull UK down, and then a hard screen, a hard cut downhill. And UK's only play was hope that your big freshman 5 was going to be able to block the shot, and he didn't, and that was that.
Yeah, and like I said, I wasn't just frustrated because the play looked too simple. I was frustrated because it was simple, and it looked like Kentucky didn't know how to – it looked like they were almost either over-prepared for something extravagant, or they were just caught like, oh, that's really all they're doing, and they just let it go. So it was like, I can't tell if Kentucky was over-prepared in that moment or if they were entirely under-prepared for little to nothing. And I think both of them are equally as bad.
You can go a bunch of different avenues in terms of poor coaching. Roster construction, that's something that didn't impact or happen just last night, but that's a big thing that we've highlighted. But the decisions of who to start and who to play and when to bring people out and when to bring people in, substitution patterns have been very frustrating. There's a lot of different areas where Mark Pope has underachieved as a head coach, and that's disappointing. 2 months ago, I didn't think we'd be having this conversation. I just didn't foresee it. But then you look back at last year and you say, all right, well, last year was okay, but it wasn't amazing. And if that was the peak, then this ain't all right. This is no good. Okay, we need to take our last commercial break, come back, wrap things up. We'll talk a little bit more Will Stein, read your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.
I saw you in heaven, would it be the same?
This thing happening with Jeff Brom where, hey, we're going to game plan for this team well. We're going to know all the little things that they do, but we're also going to not remind our guys to not get chippy and not push and do dumb things after the whistle. The unsportsmanlike conduct penalties are boneheaded. They're unacceptable, and we've been saying that for 2 years that they're unacceptable.
Run In with Roman weekday afternoons at 2, followed by the Mike Rutherford Show at 2:30 on the Big X Sports Radio.
For swing into the action at Park Mammoth Golf Club, a breathtaking and challenging course just off I-65 in Park City, Kentucky. Stay in the know with the Park Mammoth Golf Club app. Get course updates, special offers, GPS, gift cards, and easy tee time bookings. After your round, unwind at the Mammoth Grill where delicious food meets stunning course views in our brand new clubhouse. Visit parkmammothgolfclub.com and experience the best in golf today.
Experience Ivy Tech from the comfort of your own home. Check out Ivy Experience, an all-in-one platform that allows you to explore our beautiful campus, diverse programs, and helpful resources. You can visit experiencesellersburg.ivytech.edu to start your experience and apply for free today. Visit experiencesellersburg.ivytech.edu today.
Roosters is the place to watch your favorite teams play. From college to the pros, Roosters has all the games. Plus, you're gonna love the food at Roosters. Come watch the games and enjoy 79-cent boneless wings every Monday. Roosters with 6 Kentuckiana locations: Dixie Highway, Preston Highway, Fern Creek, Shelbyville Road, Springhurst, and in Clarksville.
When design is key to your landscape project, Give Walnut Ridge Landscape and Design a call at 812-288-6691. Walnut Ridge has more experience than any landscape company in the area. Remember, Walnut Ridge Landscape and Design, when design is key to your project and you want the most experienced landscaping company in the area. Give Walnut Ridge a call at 812-288-6691. Walnut Ridge Landscape and Design, when design is key.
If you haven't been to Valley View Golf Club lately, you'll hardly recognize it. Building off improvements already made with tap-ins at our golf simulators, you can now visit the newly renovated 19
We are just a little over 2 hours away from UK introducing Will Stein as its new football coach at Nutter Fieldhouse. Fans are invited to go if you feel up for it. Doors open at 3 o'clock. They're expecting a large crowd, so they're asking people, if you do go, to get there early, but going to be a cool moment for UK football. Stephen Peak, producer Matt Childers, TJ Walker. One final segment. Any quick hitters that we missed, Peak, that you want to get on or touch on or talk about?
Bartovic has Kentucky going 19-12 now and getting a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. How would you feel if that's how it played out?
Honestly, if they got a 6th seed with the way that they've looked so far, I'd be a little surprised.
Oh, so you would take it if offered that right now? You would take 19-12 6th seed?
Yeah, honestly, I think I would.
Oof, that's considering what the expectations were, and they talked about this a little bit. We talked about it on KSR a little bit this morning about moving expectations. I did after the Michigan State game. I saw enough in the Michigan State game to know this team's not winning a national championship, and really we should just hope that you can get into the tournament, win a couple games, get back to the Sweet 16, so you don't go backwards with. I mean, though it's going to feel like that anyways, I guess. But as far as momentum goes, but yeah, man, just it's not feeling too good today. On a few hours of sleep and stayed until almost 6 a.m. and just reading some stuff about the game, watching a little bit of the second half, the scoring drought, just to kind of see what that was about. And really, like, what I've noticed is this team just doesn't share the ball. There were several times they could have kicked out to a guy in the corner, rotated the ball around. We saw it in the Purdue game. And I don't know if it's that they're selfish or if they're just, I got to make a play. I'm a good basketball player. We need a bucket. I'm going to go get a bucket. Denzel Aberdeen is a really good basketball player. There were several times last night when I'm like, I don't know that's the offense, Denzel. I don't think it's just you just twisting around.
He's not a point guard. He's just not a point guard. He's playing out of position. But they tried Jasper at point guard plenty too, and it didn't look much better because he's not a passer.
That's just such a disappointment, isn't it? Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of thought I didn't think he would be a star this year, But I thought we would see enough from Jasper that there would be games that you couldn't take him off the floor because of what he could provide offensively. I always thought defense would be an issue.
He looked at his best in the Purdue exhibition game, Peak.
Yeah, he did. And then that game, they had good ball movement. They got Jasper a wide open three, set shot. He could take 2 seconds to get a shot off if he wanted to, and he buried it. And I don't know. The doubts on everything started sinking in. You remember me after the Georgetown game. You remember how low I was. All the stuff I've been worried about. They're shooting 27% from three against teams that are any good. This is not a good basketball team right now. And I just don't think that even bringing Jalen Lowe back or JQ or Mo fixes the biggest issue with this. I don't know, man. I want to be more positive. Can I be more positive for a second?
Yeah, go ahead. I'd love to hear it.
How about this? How about we do get Jalen Lowe and JQ back, and on January 1st, we have a win or two in the non-conference. Let's say we're 8-5, 9-4, and we just reset kind of. January 1st, we're 0-0 in the SEC, 0-0 in the SEC. Let's try to win the SEC. Haven't done that since the world shut down. Let's go to Nashville. Let's try to make it to Saturday. We haven't done that. When's the last time we made it to Saturday? 2022. Haven't made it to Sunday since 2018. Maybe you can go on a run there. I've always said if you do one of three things, Elite Eight, win the SEC tournament, win the SEC outright, I will call it a good season. If you only do one of those three things, it's a good season, not a great season, but it is a good season. So can we do? Maybe we reset. The SEC isn't as tough this year. It does mean you're not going to have as many of those top 15 opportunities or big quad one opportunities, but it's a lot more reasonable to think that maybe you can go on a run this year, especially if you get your best player back in JQ, if you get your point guard back in Jalen Lowe. Can we do that? Can we reset 0-0? You get your team back on January 1st, and would you feel a little bit better? Do you think there's a chance? Am I crazy for thinking that maybe this can turn into something good later on in the season?
That's what we have to hope for, is that once you get your healthy pieces back, it clicks, and you think that November and December are really, really, really far away when you're in March, because that's true, they are. That's what you have to kind of just hope for. I'm not overly optimistic that even when you get those guys back, it's all going to click. Your SEC schedule is tough. Even if the SEC is not as good as it was last year, it's still difficult. You still have to go on the road. And you just haven't beaten a good team in a meaningful game. It has not happened this year. You will get plenty of chances. They will at some point. But I hope so. And that is... you can still be a 1 seed. I don't think that they will be. You can still be a 2 seed. I don't think that they will be. You can still play for a lot, and everything in the SEC is still in front of you. It's just they looked bad last night. They've looked bad really in all three of their big games. And they still had every chance in the world to win last night playing at home, and they just couldn't do it. They couldn't do it in a position that they really, really needed to. If you win last night, the sky is just not falling. Unfortunately, you couldn't find a way to hit an extra three-pointer. You finish the game with 1 3-pointer. You lose.
BG.
And now Gonzaga is a much tougher matchup on Friday. You lose that, and it just starts to snowball even more. But you are right that come January, it's the basic start of a new season. It's just unfortunate that everything that happened prior does count against you, even though it doesn't kill you. You didn't you didn't bank any quality wins. You didn't help your resume whatsoever. So that's disappointing, but I like your positivity, and hopefully this team can figure it out once they get healthy. A texter says, Jasper is a 3-year player, if not a player that transfers after year 2. Not impressed with him at all. And what's all the rumors going on with Mo? Why are people saying it's not his ankle and it's something else? Yeah, we had callers suggesting that yesterday. I think somebody said that if you watch him on the bench, he doesn't look like he's hurt and stuff like that. So I don't know. We asked Jack Pilgrim, go back and listen to the podcast. Are any rumors true about chemistry? And Steve, what did Jack say? Just basically doesn't look like that they like each other, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what he said. That's basically what he said, and it's what he's
It
been telling
doesn't.
me as well.
It doesn't look like
So,
they like each other.
No. We all saw Mo get hurt, right? So we know that he got injured. It is, if it's a bad ankle sprain, I just wonder. Usually, I'm not, as Jacob Polachek says, I'm no longer a doctor. But do you not put that in a boot? I mean, Trent Noah went into a boot for like the mildest of sprains, right? It was Ortega in a boot for his turf toe. So it's, I don't know. I mean, and I think if I try to free associate about any of this anymore, it kind of feeds conspiracy theories. So I just say, like, I don't know how that's, maybe it's an optional thing whether you want to be in a boot or not. Maybe he's been practicing but just not ready to go for a game. Maybe he's doing some 0-on-5 work, and they'll work him up to one-on-ones and 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, and eventually we'll get him back. He's probably breaking records in his recovery, TJ. I'm sure JQ broke some records in his recovery. He'll be there. Maybe in a week, maybe we'll have JQ. That would make everybody feel better.
Well, Mark Pope was already going against the trainers against Trent Noah. Maybe they need some KS doctors in there. Maybe Stephen Peake does have the answers and he's holding back on us. He doesn't want to step on toes right now.
Another texter says the only thing that's been positive this year has been the play of Malachi. Besides that, there's nothing to be excited about. Roster construction or the lack of a backup point guard, especially considering what happened last year, is a joke, says one texter. Malachi's been a positive, but I really do feel like I'm being negative. I'm not trying to be. He is good. He's a good player, but he's just not ready for UNC's front court. He's not ready to have to be the standalone, by himself guy against Michigan State's frickin' front court. You're putting him in a tough spot. So who's his relief? It's Brandon Garrison, who is terrible right now. So you're putting Malachi and Marino in a tough spot of, hey, we need you to just be really good, not just like figure it out good. Mm-hmm. But we need you to be really good. Oh, and also when you go out, your replacement is basically non-existent. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot.
I would have said, if you'd have said Malachi Moreno is playing 30 minutes a game against North Carolina, I don't know. I mean, I guess I thought that Brandon Garrison would make a bigger jump. Mark Pope did say that last year. He kept saying the guys make a big jump in year 2. So far, we've made the big jump. Colin Chandler, that's it. Brandon Garrison.
Colin Chandler's jump is not even that huge. He is better. No, he is better.
But he's the only one who's improved.
He also had to stop playing basketball for a year or however long it was.
Yes.
That was probably just a natural, once you shake the rust off after a 12-month, 24-month hiatus, 2 years of not playing basketball, that you're probably it's going to click for you eventually. But he's better. All right, I won't even take that away from him. But Brandon Garrison is worse. He is a worse basketball player than what we saw last year. And the truth probably is he's actually probably just the same. He made no jump whatsoever, and he didn't regress. He's probably just the same. It's just the front court last year covered up a lot more of his boo-boos than what the front court can do this year. And that's really probably what it is for him. But I get everybody, let's just be adults about all this. But I don't want to ever see Brandon Garrison play unless you just, you have to or whatnot.
What if you need a 3 though?
Well, that's a good point. Let him go out there and you know what? Offensive efficiency. He's most efficient offensive players.
Ortega played really well last night. Might have been his best game this season, but has he really improved that much?
No.
Has Noah improved that much?
If I'm saying that Brandon Garrison has potentially regressed, and I don't think that he has, Owe hasn't gotten better. And, he was better last night, but he could have been even better. And he still just tries. He doesn't pass when he's going and attacking the rim. Teams still have him scouted, knowing that you just trail and you try to meet him at the backboard and block his shot. So he could have even been better. I've been really disappointed with Owe this year.
So for Trent Noah, I find this very interesting. And this just kind of does show a little bit of, losing Jalen Lowe probably did have an effect on this. Trent Noah can't get shots off. In the 3 games that matter, he didn't play against Louisville. 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 He's gotten off 1-3 in 23 minutes of play,
don't play
Michigan
him.
State, North Carolina. And if you can't get him a look, he can't be out there.
Don't play him.
That's the thing is,
I like Trent Noah, but
with a guy like Trent Noah, that's also, I mean, I think you're kind of alluding to it as well, is that it's not his fault. Like, he is a spot-up shooter. He's a guy that he needs the help of a true point guard to help move the offense and use some of your better pieces so that you're like, okay, I need to stop Otega Oweh. I need to stop Jalen Lowe. I need to stop Malachi Moreno. And then your afterthought, your fourth option is, Trent Noah coming off a screen, spot up in the corner or at the top of the elbow. And he just can't. He can't do that when you're only getting 8 assists a game. He just can't.
That's a great point. The lack of point guard is hurting everybody. And Trent Noah and Denzel Aberdeen are probably the biggest people that are being impacted negatively with the lack of point guard, because Denzel Aberdeen's just having to play out of position. And then Trent Noah, well said, producer Matt, he's somebody that's he needs as much space as possible to be comfortable with his shooting. There's a reason why the shooting numbers in the Noah system, when nobody's guarding you, are as good as they are. So, well said. They've got to get a point guard. If Jalen Lowe can't come back this year, and it seems positive. Seems like there's some positive updates, but until he comes back, this team probably just has a pretty low ceiling, unfortunately.
Go back and watch. I watched the second half last night. There are times when Trent Noah's open and people aren't passing him the ball. Like,
well, there's also times that he's open and he just doesn't shoot the ball either.
That too. Colin Chandler had a couple opportunities last night to pull and he didn't. And
they're a little tight.
Do you think coaching. Do you think that's game plan stuff? Like, do you think that's game plan stuff? Whereas you went from you want to shoot 30-something threes to what they only took 13 last night.
I think North Carolina did a good job to take away the 3-point shot, but no, Trent Noah and Colin Chandler have the green light. That's the whole reason Trent Noah is out there. He is not out there because he's a defensive presence or he can get to the basket. He is out there to make threes. He's shooting 47% from 3 this year, but he's not getting very many attempts. I was going to try to look at these real fast. I mean, he's 8 of 17. He's taken 17 threes in 6 games. But, he got 5 off against Tennessee Tech and 4 off against Loyola, Maryland, and 5 against Eastern Illinois. Against the good teams, against the teams with length and athleticism, he's not getting looks. And it's also against teams with length and athleticism. Kentucky's also just not moving the ball around very well. And I think players right now are hitting the panic button in real time, like on the floor. That we need to go get a basket. I need to be the guy to do it, so I'm going to go do it. And that's not going to work. I mean, we kind of have to be real. These are role players. They all serve a specific role. There's not a guy who can just go do it himself. And let's see if Mark Pope can figure it out.
That's a major problem. I feel like all three of us have talked about multiple times, is the fact that basketball, at least college basketball, is almost like a wolf pack out there. There's always the alpha, right? There's always the one that when the going gets tough, you go get a bucket. This is your guy who's going to get a bucket, and that's been the history of Calipari basketball. And I think we all expected Otega Oweh to be that guy where when it got stuck, that he can go in the lane, he can draw a foul really well, he's really physical in the paint, he can run downhill at a very high rate. But TJ, you alluded to it a couple week ago or so that teams are just picking up on that, and they're just doubling him because they're testing the rest of Kentucky's depth. It's like, okay, well, we're going to take Otega out of this game. We're going to make you guys score. And it's just not working.
He's tripled a lot. A lot of times there'll be 2 primary defenders on him that he'll go into, and then it's the third trailing guy that comes and just blocks the shot. Usually he is drawing 3 guys towards him on penetration, and there is no sign of a kick out. Let's read more text on the Game Day Men's Health text line. Teams are often a reflection of their coach. Our coach looks devoid of confidence, unsure of himself, and shows very little energy or intensity, and that's how we play. We have no leader, no toughness, no coherent offensive plan. Hugely disappointing. You said it better than I could. There was some embarrassing lack of effort plays from Otega last night. Yeah, that's why I have to push back a little bit. Like, his shooting numbers were better than they have been, but I still don't think Otega was great last night. I've heard a lot of people say, you wasted a good Otega game. I don't think so.
That's just because of how bad he's been all year.
I don't think we've seen a good Otega game. Yes, exactly. I think just
that was just the best one so far.
Yeah, well said. I do think UNC did a good job of running us off the line and making us beat them with 2s. Happened a couple of times in games last year. Concerned about how easy it looked, though. And that's on Pope, though. You got to just tell them, hey, you all, do you not see what they're doing? Do you not see how they're running you? And if you got an open shot, you have to take it. The team just tightened up, and it seemed like they were all too willing to be funneled inside. And they had 42 points in the paint, so they may have been happy to do it. But you just needed to stretch the floor a little bit. One, to open up things for you inside, and two, to get some points from outside, which you got only 3 from. So, just not what we were looking for. You know what?
Did you see Jack Pilgrim's the title he used on his article from last night?
Yes.
Feeding the duds.
Yeah.
This
text, Garrison almost got his ankles broken from a spin move in the post. I thought that he was just going to spin into orbit. He was so lost and confused in that. Oh, man. UNC was desperate to be put away for 10 minutes, and we couldn't do it. A handful of rebounds and a couple more buckets, and we win by double digits. No doubt about that. Yeah, no doubt about it. UNC was just begging to be blown out. Rupp crowd was begging for this game to be blown open, and the team just effort and energy and inability, and this is the big one, inability to be able to go get a bucket cost UK. When and where can I watch the Will Stein introductions? Go Cats. UKathletics.com at 4 o'clock for sure, and I'm sure all the local stations will have coverage on it as well. This intro music's making me want to go to bed and cry. Well, things aren't great right now.
That was the point. Glad it was working.
We can't hear it. Perfect call with tears in heaven, says another texter. Another texter says, hello, Kentucky Roll Call. Patrick Murphy here. I like me some ranch and make it spicy. I like Supreme pizzas, and if they don't have that, then that's fine. Also, if Kentucky loses the majority of their good non-conference games, do they still get the vote to make the big dance? A lot of basketball. I'm not worried about the tournament just yet, Patrick Murphy. Pope has to stop the insane substitution pattern so early in the game, up 10-4, and then new subs come in, and after 2-3 minutes, we're behind, 11-13. Pope kills all our momentum. It's obvious he's trying to keep many people happy, but he's just hurting the team, recruiting, and his standing with the BBN. He just needs to have a starting 5 and sub as necessary. B-ball isn't rocket science, and it certainly isn't based on analytics. All right, so now we're too analytical. I really appreciate everybody texting into the show. We didn't get to all of them. We'll do a better job of that tomorrow. I can't wait for the Will Stein press conference. It's Stein time. Big Blue Willie Wildcat. We get to meet him today. Enjoy it. We'll be back. Kentucky Roll Call will be back tomorrow. This is KRC on the Big X.
Kentucky morning.
1450 and 96.1 FM.